Welcome, everyone, to the Center for Spiritual Living Bellingham. So glad you're joining us today. It's been my tradition for the last few months of offering gratitude as a way of reminding myself and all of us of the amazing grace that we live in. And so I've been traveling. I've been traveling to all these different environments with different weathers and different landscapes. And yesterday I was coming home on the shuttle, the airport shuttle from Seattle. And so what I have to report is how grateful I am for the incredible beauty of nature. And wherever you're listening from, take a moment if you can see out a window or maybe you're even sitting outside to really connect with the immensity of beauty that surrounds us always, no matter what the landscape. And I feel such gratitude for Mother Earth and the gifts that are brought to us so effortlessly all the time. Right now, another person who brings us gifts and talents, our music director, Amber Darlin, will lead us in some song.
Well, good morning, everybody. I thought we'd start off with a song saying yes to all this goodness that surrounds us. Take me to the water and I'll dive right in. I'm ready to let go of everything that's been. I said, take me to the mountain and I'll climb on up. The highest peak of beauty's gonna fill my cup. I say yes, I say yes. I know all is well. All right, let's sing yes. I say yes, yes, I say yes. I say yes, yes, knowing all is well. I say yes, I say yes. I say yes, 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 knowing all is well. I say yes, I say yes. I know all is well. I throw routine right out the door. When I'm scared, I know it leads me to something more. Widen my gaze and see all there is. Take a leap of faith, I'm gonna find that bliss. I say yes, I say yes. I know all is well. All right, let's sing it out. I say yes, yes, I say yes. I say yes, yes, knowing all is well. I say yes, I say yes. I say yes, 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 knowing all is well. I say yes, I say yes. I know all is well. I say to throw routine right out the door. When I'm scared, I know it leads me to something more. Widen my gaze and see all there is. Take a leap of faith, I'm gonna find that bliss. I say yes, I say yes. I know all is well. One more time, here we go. I say yes, yes, I say yes. I say yes, yes, knowing all is well. I say yes, I say yes. I say yes, 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 knowing all is well. I say yes, I say yes. I know all is well. I say yes. Come on, we all say yes. We know all is well. I say yes. And now we all say yes. We know all is well. Yes, indeed. Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. We're in Bellingham. Where are you? I know many of you are tuned in from afar. Say hello and let's say good morning to the spiritual community. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 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 Well, we're going to head on over to a practitioner of the day for an invocational prayer.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Andrea Wood, the practitioner this morning. I invite you to join me in prayer. Know with me, there is one love, one light, one cosmic spirit that is all-knowing, ever-present. It's divine givingness, giving all to all, always uplifting, always supporting. And as we come together this morning, I know and celebrate this one that lives in my core. I am awake in spirit. I am alive in the truth. I know that spirit imbues me with wholeness and wellness. And I'm so grateful to know the truth of my existence. I release my word and let go and let God, and so it is.
Thank you, Andrea. Well, let's move into some musical meditation together. Loving Spirit dwells in me. This is my divinity. As within, so without. All I need is here and now. Where there's error, let me love. May I have no fear. All the power, all the glory, I surrender, let it be. Loving Spirit dwells in me, now and evermore. Loving Spirit dwells in me. This is my divinity. As within, so without. All I need is here and now. Where there's error, let me love. May I have no fear. All the power, all the glory, I surrender, let it be. Loving Spirit dwells in me, now and evermore. Holy, I awaken forevermore. Love be known. Holy, I awaken forevermore. Love be known. All is right. All is well within my soul. Peace be my offering. Peace be my offering forevermore. Love be known. Peace be my offering forevermore. Love be known. All is right. All is well within my soul. Holy, I awaken. Holy, I awaken forevermore. Love be known. Holy, I awaken forevermore. Love be known. All is right. All is well. All is right. All is well. All is right. All is well within my soul.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Andrea. Beautiful morning so far. Welcome back. Today's talk is centered on a quote by Henry David Thoreau that goes like this: Our truest life is when we are awake in the dream. And you may remember, I was just looking it up actually, that Thoreau was part of a group of thinkers in the 19th century who all lived in and around Concord, Massachusetts. And they were all writers, and they would have these incredible conversations about philosophical and spiritual matters, usually at the Emerson's home. And Thoreau, because he was the gardener for Emerson, was privy to those conversations, but at first they made him sit out in the hallway and just listen. Different kind of class structure at that point, but eventually they realized that he was brilliant, and so they brought him into the conversation. So part of the reason I wanted to bring Thoreau into the mix today is the topic of the month is gravity and grace, which to me has to do with how we live in a world where there are so many grave concerns and issues that are confronting us, and also to live from a spiritual perspective, to meet those grave concerns and issues from a spirit-driven point of view, a point of view that acknowledges and invokes grace, the grace of the divine, if you will, to assist us in moving through these concerns, and also opening to solutions for them that don't come from the mainstream of sacred human thought, which often is somewhat negative, but rather comes from a different elevated place. So the Concord writers were part of the elevated thinking of their day that still, traveling down the centuries, is still very relevant, very encouraging to us now. So, what did Thoreau mean by our truest self is when we are awake in the dream? I mean, you could go on the internet and find all kinds of opinions, but you're going to get mine today. Which, for me, having read so much of Emerson and the Alcocks and Nathaniel Hawthorne and Thoreau, who are all part of this group, um, I believe that because Thoreau was the most hooked into nature of all of them, that he's speaking about the dream of this world, this incredible, beatific, um, natural landscape that we reside in. You can imagine in the 19th century what it was like with far fewer people and the amazing landscapes that were in Massachusetts of that day. And being awake in the dream, I think from Thoreau, would mean that we have a capacity. I was talking about that last week. We have a capacity to literally live from our deepest selves. And living consciously from our deepest self is to be awake. That's what enlightenment or illumination really means to me. I mean, you know that old story about the Buddha right after enlightenment, where he's walking along and someone sees him coming who's been trained in the Vedic tradition, and he can see that this person is illumined, and says, "Are you a god?" And the Buddha says, "No." He says, "Well, are you a scholar of the holy text?" And the Buddha says, "No." "Well, are you like a magician or a Devi, like a being that's not from here?" And the Buddha says, "No." And he says, "Well, what are you?" And the Buddha replies, "I am awake, awake in the dream." So, this awake state is not just something that sacred, illumined beings have, but it's actually available to you and to me all the time. The the part that's intriguing to me is how to not only get there into that awakened state in the middle of bliss, but also how to stay there. Because so many of the sacred writings talk about remembering and forgetting, which unfortunately is certainly my direct experience. Um, so I wanted to talk a little bit about how to be awake and also everyday enlightenment and how to live from that awakened state in daily life. And what really got me thinking about it was I was blessed to go and visit my youngest granddaughter, and oh yeah, her mommy and daddy, um, and her mommy and daddy took me to a museum, the first one I've gotten to go to in over 2 years. And this was in San Francisco, and there's an exhibit that's happening there right now called The Last Supper of Pompeii. And I think they took me there because they knew that I was somewhat fascinated by Pompeii and Mount Vesuvius erupting. And as a child, I would read the National Geographic reports about what had happened and how, an entire civilization in that area was completely wiped out. And because it happened so fast, everything was kind of just as it was, only now covered with mountains of ash. And so I was thrilled to be going to this exhibit. This particular exhibit was called The Last Supper in Pompeii because, hallelujah, being a foodie myself, it was all about the food and the wine and the last suppers that people had that they have evidence of in Pompeii before the volcano erupted the next morning. So it was an incredible exhibit. The reason it got me thinking about being awake in the dream and living our truest self is partly because a lot of the exhibit they had managed to salvage from Pompeii these exquisite um, frescoes from the walls of the villas and the homes of the people that lived in Pompeii. And it was a very prosperous area. It was the wine making area in Italy at that time, one of the biggest. And all of the vineyards were on the slopes of, you guessed it, Mount Vesuvius. And so this whole culture had evolved around growing grapes, producing wine, selling wine, and along with it, the food and the culture that went with that. And so these frescoes were throughout the exhibit, and they depicted scenes of the god Bacchus, the god, that everybody says, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you'll die. Well, maybe that was an affirmation without them knowing it, right? But Bacchus is in all of these frescoes, almost without exception. Or there were other gods that I had never heard of, and I'm probably going to mangle the terminology because I didn't write it down, but I think they were called Lare or Lar, and they were the household gods of each of these homes, and they depicted them on these frescoes. And what I learned from this exhibit in part was that every morning, the man of the house, because that was how that society was structured, would come out in his toga with his family, and they would go to an altar that was in every home. And the altar was to the gods, and particularly um, the altar to the household gods of that particular villa or home. And he would place his toga over his head as a sign of respect. He would light the sacred fire. He would make offerings of food and wine, and he would offer prayer. And that was how the day was started in all of these homes. And I was thinking to myself, don't take this personal, but do take it personal. Do we do that? Do we do that? I mean, maybe. Um, I know that for me, living a spiritual life, meditation, prayer are part of the warp and the woof of the tapestry of my life, but not every morning. I might get up and something's happening and I kind of forget, or I'm tired and so I think I'll do it later, and like exercise sometimes later doesn't happen. And so it's not exactly every morning. And maybe for those Roman folks it wasn't either, but it sounded like from the exhibit this was part of how they invited the divine to protect them and help them in their daily life. And you know, we have that capacity as well to invite the divine to aid us and help us in our daily lives. It's just that for a lot of us, we forget, we fall asleep to that wonderful gift we've been given. And so as I was thinking about the truest nature and being awake in the dream, I was thinking about how so often what gets in our way is our way, our habitual selves, our field of perception, and how we relate to our life, and how daily we do the same thing at the same time, kind of, except for spiritual practice sometimes. But we have a routine around so many parts of our life that it's easy to become routinized and fall asleep to invoking and inviting a bigger idea, a bigger picture, a bigger perception to come into play in our lives. And so I was telling the earlier service, part of my trip was getting to walk through the city with my 19-month-old granddaughter, who is developing her field of perception as we were walking. And so I knew that Lulu had already started to identify colors, and that she would say, I see blue, or I see purple. And so as we're walking, one of my openings in the field of perception is plants. My grandmother was an avid gardener. And so from the time I was little, I was hearing the names of plants and their characteristics and things like that. And so we're walking through the city and I say, Lulu, I see purple flower. And she go, purple flower. but because she had not connected the color to the flower. And so from then on, I see blue, I see pink flower, I see orange flower. And I felt like I was witnessing Lulu expanding her field of perception right in front of my very eyes. And I realized because this was after the Pompeii exhibit, I realized, well, we can all do that. We all have that capacity. But the question is, how do we do that? Because I believe that our truest nature is the most expanded expression of who we are. And that when we get in our own way by having routinized lives, often the field of perception remains very limited to those ideas and those habits and those ways that we've developed. So as I was looking at it from the lens of the science of mind philosophy, I was turning to the Science of Mind textbook, where I found a couple of things that I thought were really valuable. One, Dr. Holmes is talking about the indivisible whole. And what he means by that is that we live in an interconnected, um, and we inter-are with not only all of life, but with the divine in all of life. That life is one indivisible wholeness of the divine in expression through all these different means and ways, through the purple flowers and the sacred humans and the magnificent landscapes and everything in between. The divine is in play, and it is one whole that we are contained within and part of. So as he's talking about that, he says, um, we should never hesitate to say that we know the truth, because we do. For the realization of the unity of the divine and humanity is the truth. We simply need a greater realization of this. And how do we get it? He says, which is the question that I'm asking today in our talk. How do we get that? And he says, only by penetrating deeper and deeper, further and further into our divine nature, back into the infinite. Where are we to do this? There is no place except within that we can do that. And so, what I take away from that is, if we really are interested in everyday enlightenment, awakening in our lives in a much more uh, profound way, one of the things that has to occur is we have to go within in order to expand the field of our awareness. And as we go within and push back farther and further into our connection with the indivisible whole of all that is, what begins to happen is, as we look outward through the lens of our perception, our inner eyes have educated us to this vastness that's happening, and we begin to become aware of it in the outer world. You know, it's interesting. As much as we see, there's so much we don't see as we're walking through our daily lives. I've been traveling a lot, and it's interesting to me to talk to people whose perceptual fields are so different than mine, and to have them point out things that I did not see, and to do the same for them, so that there's this sacred interchange of awakening to things that we might not have seen had not another been with us. And imagine what it's like with the divine on board, very consciously, very awake in that, and allowing that inner introspection to open the field of perception to things that have always been here, but we didn't know. We didn't know they were there. We didn't see them. We weren't open to perceiving them. And this happens through our whole life. It's not just Lulu, but think of the high school classes you took, or maybe college classes or technical classes. And in each class, if we were open and not just bored with the topic, the class intention was to open our field of perception to a new idea or a new way. I remember taking astronomy in college and just sitting in a planetarium and having the astronomy class go on, and just being completely dumbfounded by the knowledge of what is around us and operating in all different forms in this other world that for me up until that point was like walk out on a night and look at the twinkling stars and maybe if I was lucky identify the Big Dipper, you know. So like that, all through our lives we have the opportunity to open the range of our vision, as Lulu was doing at 19 months. And here in a spiritual way we seek to open to the presence of the divine in all things and in all people. Things is easy, people not so much. And so we work within our own nature to get out of our own way enough, out of the habits, out of the ways of thinking, out of the judgments, so that we can kind of open our eyes, hearts, and minds to perceiving the divine, the sacred in all. And as we do that, we are transformed. We are awakened to what Jesus called the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God is within, he said, and around us always. And so he was perceiving something that for most people, how do you get there? And Holmes is very clear by diving deeper and deeper into the divine within and sitting with that and allowing that inner revelation to inform our outer lives. Another way of talking about this is simply to think about it in terms of um, mental equivalent. It's an old term, but what it means basically is once we have an idea, once we have it firmly in our mind, we can then take that idea and begin to experience it on an outer level. So often, mental equivalence as an idea is used to talk about creating a life, creating what you want in your life. In fact, Thoreau says um, to, to carve and paint the very atmosphere from which we look, there's that perception, from which we look to affect the quality of the day. This is the highest of the arts. So he's talking about mental equivalence here. He's talking about, can we have such an idea, a possibility in our mind that we can literally begin to bring it out into the world? And this is not only a way to manifest money or a divine relationship or a particular outer experience. It's also to bring the inner equivalent that we're dwelling upon of the divinity within all things into an outer recognition so that we not only think it and we not only experience it inwardly, but we actually begin to feel it and experience it as a reality everywhere. And that is what true enlightenment, I believe, is awake to the divine within all things. Different spiritual traditions talk about this in different ways, but they talk about it because the masters of these different traditions have walked this way in the world and have left signposts along the way for those of us walking along that spiritual path so that maybe we can open the field of our perception to an even greater level. That's what I'm up to, and I wonder if you are too, and that's why you listen. So, to help us all, I thought I would close with a prayer. And so, join me. I remember right here and now that just like Lulu, there is within me and within all beings everywhere a profound curiosity and openness to life, to discovery, to creative process in all of its forms. And so I turn to that creative curiosity within. And I accept and know that the divine moving through me and moving in all things is always and ever creating anew, creating out of its own nature all things. And as I become curious about the divine in my own life and the creativity that is moving through my life, I begin to see the presence of that divine nature unfolding me, opening my eyes, my heart, my mind to the presence of the sacred. And just like those long ago Romans who made offerings to the household gods of their experience. I stand in the place of deep gratitude as an offering for the life that I have been given and the sacredness of the divine within me and within all things. Grateful to have my perception opened ever more fully, to know that the field I walk in is the field of the sacred, and that every day is a day that I can be and express my truest nature in profound gratitude for the life that is. I accept that this way of living is my way, and I am grateful to have been given this life as an opportunity for that. And so it is. All right, well, I have some happy news for you. Um, we have been having wonderful people reserve a spot to come to our 9:30 service, and very shortly now, sometime in the month of June, we're going to be opening our 10:30 service as well for by reservation only, and we're going to invite you to come. And who will be there but our own, very beloved band? And so we'll have the opportunity to be together as we were before in a new way, with the band leading us and the opportunity to be in sacred community together in person. So very excited about that. And so watch your announcements. You can go to the reservation site on our website to reserve for the 9:30 at this point. And sometime in the near future, the 10:30 will show up there, and you can do that as well. There is no longer any limit to the number of times you can come to the 9:30 service, so feel free to sign up as often as you would like. Today, also more happy news. We have a wonderful workshop that's being presented today from noon to 1:30 via Zoom. The Zoom link is on our website, and you can go there to find it. This workshop is a wonderful workshop to take if you're curious about how to pray in an affirmative way that activates the divine in your favor to bring your inner mental equivalent into an expression in the outer life, whether it's a thing that you need or it's an inner experience that you're longing for. Our way of prayer is probably the most potent tool we use to open to the sacred. So that's happening at noon today via Zoom, and I hope you'll join our wonderful practitioner, Andrea Wood, and those who are joining her for that opportunity. We have just a few spaces left in our second women's retreat. The second women's retreat is happening because every single room at the retreat at this point is private, and we had so many women that wanted to come that we actually now are meeting on the first weekend of August and the second weekend. So the second weekend, August 13th through the 15th, has a few openings. If you're interested and would like to come, we are asking you to reserve your spot by June 1st so that we can let the Whidbey Institute know. My Soul Collage workshop is completely booked for this Wednesday here in person, but you can put your name on a waiting list, and if there's enough people, then I'll offer it again. Love to have you. And also the brand new class that I'm teaching in June based on the book 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership is happening starting June 1st. So that's coming right up. And if you'd like to come, you can order the book from Amazon or from our local independent bookstore. And I'm asking all of my students to have read the first 3 chapters for the first class on June 1st. This class is being offered by Zoom from 6 to 8. It may be one of the last classes I offer that is strictly Zoom. We're playing around with hybrid models, and so in the near future, we'll be having classes in person as well as via Zoom. So come on along if you'd like to take this class and join us in that. Other than that, let's see, someone said, if you remember, tell people about the morning prayers at 7 a.m. and the evening gratitudes at 8:45. They're happening Monday through Friday. Those Zoom links are also available on our website. So be sure and peruse the website and you'll get all kinds of information. Right now, I'm going to send you back to Amber for one last song to take us out on.
This song is called One Step at a Time. Gonna climb this mountain, won't stop till I get to the top, one step at a time. No doubt about it, I won't stop till I get to the top, one step at a time. Gonna climb this mountain, I won't stop till I get to the top, one step at a time. No doubt about it, I won't stop till I get to the top, one step at a time. Leave behind what's weighing me down, wash away what's holding me back. My heart is falling, face forward, feet on the ground, living in this courage I found. The sky is calling, gonna climb this mountain, I won't stop till I get to the top, one step at a time. No doubt about it, I won't stop till I get to the top, one step at a time. Leave behind what's weighing me down, wash away what's holding me back. My heart is falling, face forward, feet on the ground, living in this courage I found. The sky is calling, leave behind what's weighing me down, wash away what's holding me back. My heart is falling, face forward, feet on the ground, living in this courage I found. The sky is calling, gonna climb this mountain, won't stop till I get to the top, one step at a time. No doubt about it, I won't stop till I get to the top, one step at a time, 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 one step at a time. You all have a lovely week and we'll see you again soon.